Adding fruit trees to your garden or landscape is a great way to enjoy your favorite fruit at the peak of freshness and flavor. Plus, they're some of the most attractive trees you can add to any landscape. So in this video, we'll talk about the most common ways to incorporate those into your yard. And thanks to Exmark for sponsoring this video. If you're looking to get a fast start with your fruit trees, potted trees are the way to go. Plus, they're easy to plant, and you could have fruit as early as the first year. But just be sure to look the tree over carefully before you bring it home to make sure that it's free of any diseases. Planting a potted fruit tree is like any other tree, really. Find a site that gets full sun and the soil drains well. Then dig a hole 2 to 3 times as wide but no deeper than the level that the tree was growing in the container. Inspect the roots and break or free them up if you find that they have started forming a circular pattern from being in the container too long. Set the tree in the hole and double check the level to ensure it's not too deep. I use my shovel and set it across the grade and compare that to how the root ball is sitting in the hole. Then backfill, thoroughly water, and add mulch. Once planted, then it's just a matter of keeping up with the watering until the tree is established, which can take several months or longer. Now, another common way to buy fruit trees is to get them bare root. Now, these are typically ordered online because they're required to be in special cold storage to keep them dormant, but then they're shipped to you at the appropriate time for planting. Now, when you order your plants or trees through the mail, typically they'll show up in a box like this, and it's important to go ahead and open up that box and inspect what's inside to first of all make sure that it's what you ordered, but to see also that it's wrapped in plastic and that the roots are protected. So far so good. And when I say the roots are protected, what I'm looking for is this shredded paper, and it's nice and moist. Now that's really important because it keeps the roots hydrated. Now the ideal thing to do is to plant these as soon as you get them, put them in the ground. But if for some reason you have to delay the process, go ahead and make sure that you add enough moisture on this paper, put it back over the roots, wrap it up, and then store it in a cool place for up to a few days, and then you got to get them outside and get them planted. Now when it comes time for planting, you want to take them out of the plastic, get all the paper off, and then you want to hydrate them in a bucket of water. About 4 to 6 hours is ideal, but no more than 24 hours. And that's really important because, you know, there's not a lot of roots left on here when they come out of the ground, but you want to give those roots an opportunity to take up all the moisture they can before they get into the soil. So by placing them in a bucket of water and allowing them to soak, you give those roots every opportunity to take up a little extra water that's so important as these trees get established. Keeping your bare root trees and shrubs covered with some shredded damp paper inside the plastic will protect them for several days. But if your planting is going to be delayed more than 10 days, you need to heel them in. And what that simply means is taking the root ball and covering up with some soil outside. In this case, I've got these beds, which is the perfect parking place for that. And I'll just dig a narrow trench, place the root ball down in it, and cover it up at a slight angle. Keep it moist, and that will keep the plants protected until I'm ready to plant. Okay, so I'm excited to get my fruit trees added to the 2 that I have right now. They're pawpaws. And now I'm going to put in a couple Bartlett pears and a couple plum trees and a peach. And I'm really excited about that. So the first thing to do is remove some turf area here. So I'll get that out of the way. I may look for a place to repurpose that somewhere else in the yard. There are the roots right there. So as you can see, not much to that. Believe it or not, they do break dormancy and they will fill out that hole pretty quickly. It may take about a year. You lose about a year in the progression timeline between that and a potted fruit tree. But again, because of the advantages of a bare root tree, the extra varietal options that you have and the ability to pick the size you want, 1 year in the course of its lifetime, not a big sacrifice. And the work goes pretty quickly if you can use the weight of the shovel and the sharpness of the blade to cut into the soil. So I'll check at this point. The key when you plant, whether it's a potted tree, shrub, or a bare root, you don't want to plant it too deep. Now, there's another important step that'll take place in just a second, but I want to check the height right now because that's critical, and I'm at that point to check it. So I'm building up this mound right here with the soil that's in the hole, and the reason for that is that when I place the bare root tree into the hole, I'm basically going to rest it on the mound so the roots kind of drape over the edge. Now these obviously are hard and they're not flexible, but still, that's the picture that you're going for, is that center mound, and then envision any roots just kind of going off the side of it like that. Something else to consider for the depth, this right here is the point where this tree was grafted. Nearly all fruit trees are going to be grafted. So you have rootstock and then you have the scion, and the merge point where it's grafted together is this knob that you'll see. And at the nursery, they actually painted these to indicate where the scion is and where the rootstock is. That right there is the graft union. Never ever cover that up, because if you do, you're going to end up getting a reversion of whatever this was. So at this graft union, that's your mark to know that you never ever want to plant higher than that. Never cover up that graft union, because if you do, what's going to happen is you're going to get new growth coming up from the rootstock, and that's not what you paid for. You're paying for the growth habit of the scion, the part above the graft union. This is the habit that you want and the fruit that you want, but if you cover this union up, that all goes away. Okay, I think that looks really good. This is well above grade, and the depth looks pretty good. So I'm just going to backfill at this point with native soil. There's no need to add any supplemental anything. Trees establish quicker when you just backfill with the native soil. That's the best thing that you can do, and it's the easiest too. So that's the next step. Now I just need to come in and water it in and add the mulch. Now, one other very important point. You need to know whether the tree that you're planting or buying is either self-pollinating or it needs another tree of a different variety that blooms at the same time to pollinate it. The reason that's important, if it's self-pollinating, this will self-fruit. But if it needs another fruit tree pollinator, again, that blooms at the same time but a different variety, that's important so that they can share pollen and to initiate fruit set for both trees. So make sure that you know that. Fortunately, that information is readily available online, and certainly the nursery where you bought your tree will have that information as well. So that will do it. If you're looking to expand your edible garden, you can't go wrong with fruit trees, and there's one for every backyard. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to learn more information, just click on the link below for more trusted information from me or other lifestyle, home and garden, lawn and garden, or rural outdoor experts.